Hello and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga Matchday 12, the weekend of their 𝗑𝐿𝐴 Borussia Dortmund Bayern Munich. What a game, Ronan Murphy.
Yeah, it's a very exciting game, and thankfully I'm going to it. So I'm going to go see their 𝗑𝐿𝐴 in front of the yellow wall of Dortmund, and maybe we might see a surprise result, but I'm hoping to see lots of goals at least anyway, yeah.
Now I'm jealous. Remember, Dortmund have won all the home games this season. So let's see if they are able to beat Bayern Munich. Ronan will tell you his tips in a bit. But in the meantime, of course, press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. First game is on Friday, as usual, Pauli Kiel, two teams that were promoted last season and two teams that are suffering. Kiel, penultimate in the standings, only one win. Pauli, third from bottom, only two wins. Both wins actually came away from home, so still to win at the Millentor Stadium. This is both teams to lose, as I usually say, Ronan.
Yeah, I'm hoping this is both teams to score lots of goals game, because as well as their 𝗑𝐿𝐴 on Saturday evening, I'll also be at this one. So I haven't been to St. Pauli before, so I'm hoping the atmosphere lives up to the hype. So yeah, it's a good game to go to, because it's a match that they do have a chance of winning, which isn't the case for a lot of games this season. But in the past couple of years, when these teams have played in the second division, there's been lots of goals. There's 6+ total goals in each of the last 3 meetings between these two sides. So hopefully we'll see a lot of goals in this one. St. Pauli won both games last season, 5-1 in this match at home, and it was 4-3 away. Kiel as well, they're conceding lots of goals away when they are on their travels this season. They've conceded 2 or more goals in every away game they've played since they've come up to the Bundesliga. So that is a positive sign for St. Pauli to score some goals. And we've seen St. Pauli score goals in difficult matches, never mind matches against Kiel. We've seen them score against the likes of Leipzig and Hoffenheim. They scored 2 goals in both of those games. So they are capable of scoring against teams. So I'm hoping to see some St. Pauli goals here. And one of the odds I like to look up in this one is St. Pauli over 1.5 goals. Just them alone to score over 1.5 goals, that's 191. But as we say, with both teams to lose, both teams to score is also a good bet in the Bundesliga. So both teams to score, yes, is a good option here as well, 180. Because Kiel have had both teams to score, yes, in 62% of their matches this season. So nearly 2/3 of the games they've played, they've had both teams to score, yes. And if you just take away games into account, that's 86% of their away games this season in all competitions. They've had both teams to score in, so this should be a match with both teams to score in. Kiel have had both teams to score, yes, in every game they've played in the Bundesliga. Actually, it's the when they weren't playing the Bundesliga was the one they didn't have both teams to score yes in. So yeah, both teams to score yes looks a great option here, 180. But this one, I'm just expecting goals, a goal feast, like you say yourself. Total goals over 2.5 is 192.
Okay, next one on Saturday, Augsburg, Bochum. Here is much easier going for Augsburg. Of course, Bochum is a no-touch, only 2 points this season. Augsburg struggling. They are only 4 points away from St. Pauli, but when they get good results, Ronan is always at home. So actually 1.7, 1.8, a bit short, but still kind of okay.
Yeah, I like the look of an Augsburg win, and that's my main tip for this game. And that's because Augsburg actually, they're pretty good at home. They haven't lost a home game since the 20th of September, actually. That was the 3-2 thriller against Mainz. So they'd be 8 in the home form table. So they are a good team playing at home, and Bochum are a terrible team, but an even more terrible team when they're playing away. Away this season, 6 games, 6 defeats, 19 goals conceded. So they're conceding a lot of goals when they play away. They're losing all their matches away. They just aren't a good team. They mightn't be a Bundesliga team next season, because things do not look like they're going right for them at the moment. It is a difficult. They had obviously a change in manager, but that only kind of gave them an initial new manager bounce. But I'm not sure it's going to give them any kind of long-term manager bounce, because they just don't have the same players that a team like Augsburg or even teams even a bit lower down in the table have. It Bochum's squad is probably one of the weakest in in the Bundesliga this season, so it's going to be a very long season for them unless they make big changes in January. But as we know, they're not a team with a lot of money, so they aren't going to be a team that are going to spend big, and they'll have to look to the loan market perhaps to get players to fill the gaps and make their squad a little stronger. This one, I'm very confident of Augsburg winning because Bochum, they're conceding lots of goals on the road, conceded 2 or more goals in the last 6 away games in all competitions. And Augsburg at home, they've beaten both Borussia Mönchengladbach and Borussia Dortmund. So they might have a chance here against Borussia Bochum. I think if they were a team beginning with BO, they've beaten them all so far. So Bochum, they should have a good chance of beating. So I like an Augsburg win, and maybe even if you want to go even further than that, Augsburg Asian handicap -1, it's 2.23. That could be a good option.
Indeed, this should be a home win. Next one is very tough to call. Union Berlin Leverkusen, because Union Berlin at home, they are very dangerous. 11 points, no defeat yet. It's a low-scoring game, as we know. Almost all the games are low-scoring games. 4 consecutive games, by the way, without scoring. And we have Leverkusen, which are very unreliable this season. Even they suffered, or at least they conceded first against Heidenheim. They even dropped points with Bochum or Stuttgart before that, and we don't have to forget, Ronan, that they are playing Champions League in the middle of the season, so this could be a trap for Leverkusen.
Yeah, it could be a difficult one, and obviously we've seen players get injured for them. Victor Boniface is injured for Leverkusen, but they received news there over the weekend that Martin Terrier would also be out for the rest of 2024, or Terrier because it's French. He's not an English dog, so he doesn't get called a terrier. But yeah, Terrier, he's out for the rest of the year, so he won't be back till the new year either. So they're kind of getting weaker and weaker in attack as they go on, and they're going to be relying on Patrick Schick a lot. And obviously, he scored a hat-trick against Heidenheim as they came back from 2 goals to win that one. That was his 3rd hat-trick for Bayer Leverkusen. He has the 2nd most in Leverkusen history, behind East German legend Ulf Kirsten. But it seems to be that that's the way Patrick Schick plays. He might score a lot in one game, and then he mightn't score for a few games, or we might actually forget about him. We might even forget he plays for Bayer Leverkusen for a while. It seems like that. He went through a long barren spell last season. So it is a lot for him to shoulder. So against Union Berlin, it's hard to see him getting too many chances, because we know what they're like, especially at home. You said they haven't really scored recently. They haven't scored in 4 games, but in the last 2 home games, although they haven't scored, they've only conceded 1 goal in those 2 matches. So they tend to be a very hard team to beat at home. So both teams to score no has happened in those 4 games, because Union Berlin obviously haven't scored, but yeah, both teams to score no could be an option here. 2.06. Leverkusen, they've not kept too many clean sheets in the Bundesliga this season. Only 1 actually in the 0-0 game with Stuttgart. They've kept 2 in the Champions League, so it does show that they are capable of doing it. They kept clean sheets against Feyenoord and AC Milan. So if they can keep chances at a minimum against Union Berlin, which they should, because Union Berlin don't tend to get a lot of chances, this should be a low-scoring match. So as well as both teams to score no, I also like to look at Union Berlin under 1 goal. It's 1.67 here. So if they score once, you get your money back. But if they score 0, you've won. So yeah, Union Berlin don't tend to score twice, because they haven't scored in 4 games. So scoring twice it seems unlikely. So that could be a safe bet for this one. But yeah, looking at the total goals market here, total goals is usually over in Bundesliga matches, because the average goals per game is over 3. It's the highest in Europe. I think it's 3.23 last season. But yeah, total goals under 2.5. This one's going to go against the grain. That's 2.04. So yeah, that's my main bet for this one.
It happened in 8 out of the 11 games played by Union Berlin. So far, 73% of the games ended in under 2.5 goals, only 9 goals scored, only 9 goals conceded. So the lowest tally in this Bundesliga. Next one is RB Leipzig Wolfsburg. We saw plenty of goals in the last game of Leipzig, but it was a defeat against Hoffenheim 4-3, 3 winless games in the Bundesliga, 8 points away now from Bayern Munich and Wolfsburg in a good streak and climbing little by little in the table with 2 wins and 2 draws.
Yeah, they have. Wolfsburg have kind of improved a bit, and they scored they scored 3 goals against Heidenheim away 2 weeks ago, but on the road they don't usually tend to score as many goals as they do at home, and they've only scored 2 goals in their 3 most recent games, including a 1-0 win against Union Berlin this weekend. So Wolfsburg on the road aren't necessarily as good as at home. And RB Leipzig, on the other hand, I know they lost at the weekend, and that was a fantastically entertaining match. But RB Leipzig in Leipzig at the Red Bull Arena, they've been very good at the back. They've only conceded once at home all season in the Bundesliga. They've won 3 and drawn 2, so they kind of are hard to score against at home. And when these 2 sides played earlier this year, last season in April, there was a 3-0 win for RB Leipzig. So, yeah, it is going to be hard for Wolfsburg to come to Leipzig and get anything. The most common result is 2-0 in Leipzig when these 2 sides play. And Wolfsburg actually haven't beaten Leipzig in an away match since 2017. So I don't really think it's going to happen here either. And looking at the odds, RB Leipzig to win 2-0 looks like a good option at 3.25 if you're prepared to take that risk, because it tends to be wins 2-0 when Leipzig play Wolfsburg at home. Both teams to score has happened in only 53% of Leipzig's games this season. They went through a run there, you remember, a couple of months ago when they were keeping a lot of clean sheets. So that kind of boosted that. Of Wolfsburg's games, 2 of the last 5 have been both teams to score no as well. So both teams to score no is an option here in this one as well, 2.30. That kind of ties into my tip of Leipzig to win 2-0, obviously. But yeah, it's RB Leipzig to win at 167. Actually looks pretty good for me, I think, in this one.
Well, this is a different match day with both teams to score no. Next one is Freiburg Gladbach. Freiburg 4 winless games, 3 of them without scoring. Gladbach 5 games undefeated, but away. Ronan is only 1 win in this Bundesliga.
Yeah, these are kind of 2 evenly matched teams. When you look at it on the table, it's 7th versus 6th. They have 17 points each so far in the season. But Freiburg are not maybe as good at home as they are away. They're 10th in the home table, whereas Gladbach are 4th in the home table. And Freiburg, I think they could find it difficult in this match because they have 2 key players suspended after their last match, Patrick Osterhage and Junior Adamu, who were both missing after picking up yellow cards, or 5 yellow cards so far this season each. So they're going to be missing in this one. So that could hand somewhat an advantage to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Freiburg as well, they're on a poor enough run. They haven't scored in 3 games. So it's 2 0-0s, and then there was that 4-0 defeat to Borussia Dortmund, obviously. So they're going through a bad kind of stint at the moment, whereas Gladbach, they're undefeated in 5 league games. They got good draws away in that period. They drew away at Mainz and they drew away at Leipzig in that time. So I think Gladbach can be a good team on the road. They've only the only thing is that when they play away, they tend to play kind of low scoring matches. So they've only 9 total goals in 11 games in their last 11 away games. That's 4 for and 5 against. So yeah, they are a team that can be hard to break down on the road and don't score too many on the road, but I give them a bit of a chance here. This is another match. Unfortunately, I think that this, after such a high-scoring game, maybe to introduce us the weekend, this could be another both teams to score no game. That's 2.30 in this one. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game either. Total goals under 2.75 ties into that, 196. But I really like the look of a Gladbach win in this one. That's 4 if you want to go on, put your money on the line there. Gladbach win is 4, but Gladbach double chance could be a safer way of hedging your bets for 192.
Well, that would be a surprise. Of course, Freiburg are really favorites with odds around 2, but they are not getting results lately. 3 games without scoring for Freiburg. Next one, let's see if you see goals here. Werder Bremen and Stuttgart. Usually with Stuttgart we see a lot of goals, but now without Undav, perhaps the story changes. Important win for Stuttgart against Bochum. Away, only 1 win this season. Werder Bremen at home, only 1 win against Kiel.
Yeah, it's not the best home form, is it, at all? The only win they've got is against Kiel, and yeah, it's Kiel, so you would expect them to beat them at home, especially. But yeah, they're 14th in the home table, so not good at all. But Stuttgart, I know you said they haven't been hugely impressive away, but in the last 2 away games they've beaten Juventus and drawn with Bayer Leverkusen, so they've had 2 very difficult away trips recently, and they've taken points from both of them. So yeah, Stuttgart, I think they're finding it hard to manage maybe the playing in Europe and playing in the league this season, because they have such difficult fixtures in Europe. So they have injuries aplenty. Undav is out, like you said, but yeah, Jamie Leveling and 𝗀𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏 are also out up front. So yeah, they are looking for somewhere to get goals, and Chris Furyk looked excellent in that 2-0 win over Bochum, and Seb Hones, the head coach, came out after the game and he kind of singled Furyk out for praise, said he's one of the players in our squad who can decide games. This is the kind of match where he will be needed to perhaps be the match decider, and there are high odds on him being an anytime goal scorer, 5 in this one, if you think Furyk can make another one of those runs from midfield and get in among goals, because they need him to kind of step up and score goals with so many other forwards out. So yeah, Furyk anytime goal scorer could be a worth a punt, but maybe not put too much money on it if you're looking at it. But yeah, it could be worth a punt at 5. Yeah, but yeah, I'd like the look of Stuttgart just winning this one. That's 222, and then a safer option is Stuttgart draw no bet at 165.
The game of the games, 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗏 and 𝐿𝐿𝐴 that you are gonna see it live in the yellow wall in the Westfalen Stadium or Signal Iduna Park. Dortmund, Bayern Munich. Of course, Bayern Munich at favorites, odds are 1.7, but we have then great value for Dortmund, a team not only unbeaten at home, but they've won all the games this season in the Bundesliga, 18 goals scored. And the last one was a 4-0 result against Freiburg. On the other hand, Ronan, we have Bayern Munich with 5 consecutive wins, 2-0 in the Bundesliga since those back-to-back draws against Frankfurt and Leverkusen. Last season, or last time they met, Dortmund won in Munich and Bayern Munich won in Dortmund. What is your take?
both wins to 0 away last season as well. So yeah, it has been a kind of an unusual one. But obviously somebody's record has to disappear. Someone's streak has to end in this one, because they're both on winning streaks at home or winning streaks to 0. So one of those has to be cancelled out. Dortmund have won 11 home games in a row in all competitions. Their record is 14. But even if they win this one, I don't think they're going to break the record, because their next 2 games, obviously against Bayern Munich this weekend, then Barcelona in the Champions League at home. So yeah, they don't have the easiest upcoming home fixtures. So we could see that 11 games in a row at home winning streak come to the end. And Bayern Munich, they also have a very difficult run themselves. PSG in the Champions League during the week. We spoke about it on Champions League preview. They have Dortmund this weekend, and then they have Leverkusen in the Cup in the middle of next week. So it's a tricky run for Vincent Kompany, and this will probably be where we see this kind of next 10 days or so will be where we see whether he is really cut out for this top job, because the Bayern Munich board and everyone around the club have talked about how great a man he is and how he kind of explains things to the players so well, and how he interacts and is more maybe a man manager than some of the previous managers that we've seen at Bayern Munich. Because Julian Nagelsmann, like we know, he's kind of one of these kind of wonder kid brainiac coaches coming in on a scooter, perhaps wasn't the most charming of managers. And Thomas Tuchel, as we know what he's like, he can be a bit fiery. Everyone remembers the handshake with Antonio Conte. We'll see what he's like as England manager next season. So yeah, Vincent Kompany, he seems to be saying and doing all the right things, but most importantly for Bayern Munich, if he starts losing matches, the board won't care if he's a nice guy or not a nice guy. They'll get rid of him quick, smart. So yeah, these are matches that Bayern Munich have to win. But Borussia Dortmund, there won't be any additional pressure under Nuri Sahin this week if he does lose this match, but he has gotten the backing of the board. Lars Ricken has said that he trusts him fully. They have a top coach. He gets better with every difficult situation. This could be another difficult situation for him, but it's hard to back either team in this one because it could be one of these kind of close, tense affairs, but it should be a high-scoring affair, hopefully for me anyway, getting to see this one up close. It will be a high-scoring affair because Borussia Dortmund tend to have high-scoring matches. They've had 3 or more goals in each of the last 9 Bundesliga games. And Bayern have obviously won those games to 0, like we mentioned, but the one before that was a 3-3 draw, so it could be plenty of goals. I think this could be a match. It will be heated, like I said. It could be kind of tense. There could be a penalty in it. So Bayern have had 5 penalties already this season in the Bundesliga. So Bayern Munich to score a penalty is worth a look at 4.5. They obviously had a couple last week against Augsburg with Harry Kane getting on the score sheet that way. So yeah, Harry Kane to score is always worth looking at. Average goals in this one is 2, or for these teams are 2 for Borussia Dortmund and 3.3 goals per game Bayern Munich are getting this season. Over 2.5 goals has happened in 76% of Dortmund's games and 71% of Bayern's games. So yeah, I think there's going to be goals at this one. I'm not going to back either team to win this one. So over 3.5 goals looks the best option at 2.01.
Okay, well, in the last 7 years, 12 wins for Bayern Munich, 3 only for Dortmund, 1 draw, one draw in 2022, actually 2 all in Dortmund. So really high odds if you are backing the yellow team, in this case, Nuri Sahin's men. Well, and for Sunday, we have a couple of games, Mainz, Hoffenheim, the away team playing in Europe, and they are now 4 points away from the bottom 3 thanks to the important win against RB Leipzig. Away from home, no wins for them. And Mainz, on the other hand, not far from European spots after beating Kiel, and Dortmund is no defeats in the last 4 games, and they are favorite for this one.
They are, and that's thanks to their away form rather than their home form. Mainz are unbeaten away in the league, but they've lost 3 home games already this season. So I don't know what's going on at Mainz. It seems to be channeling itself through 𝐿𝗵𝗵𝗏 as well up front. If you look at the top scorer chart, he's pretty close to the top. He has 7 Bundesliga goals, which is fantastic for a Mainz player, but 6 of those were away games. He's only scored once at home this season. So yeah, it's a very strange kind of scenario for him. He has the second most away goals in any of the big 5 leagues in Europe. Only Robert Lewandowski has more with 10 away goals this season. So yeah, if he can start scoring at home, maybe Mainz will be one to look at for a European spot. But Hoffenheim is going to be a tricky game this weekend. Like you said, they had that 4-3 win over RB Leipzig. Tom Bischoff scored for a brilliant free kick. He's the second youngest free kick goal scorer in Bundesliga history, or since they started recording the age of free kick goal scorers, I think is what they'll put it at. But yeah, he is a player that is worth keeping an eye on because he's out of contract at the end of the season. And RB Leipzig have been sniffing around. It was talk that some of the Leipzig top brass were even watching him or chatting about 2 Hoffenheim people at that game last weekend. So he's shown them what they could do with that goal. So he'll be one to keep an eye on going forward, but obviously he doesn't score a lot of goals. He just is a talented young midfielder. Hoffenheim, they have a new coach, Christian Ilzer. He came in, he won that game 4-3. He's changed things up at the club already on the pitch. He's done the opposite to Ruben Amorim is expected to do at Man United. He's gone from a back 3 to a back 4. He's changed things around at the back. Obviously they conceded 3 goals, but they scored 4 goals last weekend. So I'm kind of interested to see where Hoffenheim will go from here under him, because they looked a more exciting and more exciting team than we had seen recently under Pellegrino Matarazzo, and they were creating plenty of opportunities. So hopefully they can continue to create opportunities and continue to get lots of goals themselves, because they've been conceding a few too many goals. We saw that again, but they were scoring more goals themselves. They've had over 3.5 goals in 47% of their matches this season. Mainz as well, they've had plenty of goals in some of their games. They've scored 3 in each of the last 2 games against Kiel last weekend and Borussia Dortmund then before the international break. So total goals over 2.75. I'm bringing it back in for this one, 196 after so many games of both teams to score no. Yeah, total goals over 2.75 looks good. Mainz, yeah, they're unbeaten away, but haven't been great at home. So I think Hoffenheim have a chance here, and as a result, I'm going for Hoffenheim double chance, 183.
Ooh, another surprise it could be in this case. Again, they have European football, and the last two teams also in Europe, Heidenheim and Frankfurt. Heidenheim suffering in the Bundesliga, perhaps with the early efforts in summer trying to qualify for the conference. Now they are only 2 points away from relegation, is 5 defeats and 1 draw in the last 6 Bundesliga games. On the other hand, we have Frankfurt doing a great season. Even Mario Götze scored the winner against Werder Bremen, 5 consecutive wins in all competitions, and the odds for Frankfurt looked healthy to me, Ronan.
They do as well. They got 2.14 looks good for Frankfurt win here. Wouldn't necessarily be a bad bet to put in as a small bet. Yeah, Mario Götze, like you said, he got on the score sheet. He scored the only goal against Bremen. He had a great statement after the game. I feel like a grandpa here. I can't play 90 minutes in these English weeks. So an English week in Germany is where they play midweek and at the weekend. So they obviously have one of those weeks this week. So keep an eye on whether he plays, how long he plays in the Europa League on Thursday evening, because he mightn't feature at the weekend then, because he's getting on in years and he's admitting it. So Frankfurt, they have an away game at Midtjylland, but that might be a bit of a difficult away trip, but it doesn't seem as difficult as Heidenheim's European game themselves. They have in the Conference League to host Chelsea, and that could be a very difficult evening. I know Chelsea in Europe have been rotating, but even Chelsea's third 11 should be strong enough to beat Heidenheim in the Conference League, because Heidenheim have such a kind of a shallow squad. They are finding it hard to manage so many games so often. And yeah, I think they had a difficult weekend as well last weekend. They led against Leverkusen, and then they got Marvin Perringer got injured, and that kind of changed things totally for them, and that the match got away from them. They conceded 5 goals. So if they were to concede heavily against Chelsea after conceding heavily against Leverkusen, it could be kind of a difficult match for them to play against Frankfurt, and it could play into Frankfurt's hands. So yeah, like you said, Frankfurt win 2.14 looks pretty good. Frankfurt have been scoring lots of goals, 2.5 goals scored per game. Heidenheim like conceding goals, they like scoring goals. So yeah, over 2.75 goals looks decent option again in this one, 1.98. Omar Marmoush continues to score. He's kind of knocking on the door with Harry Kane. He's not getting as many penalties. So he has been scoring from free kicks with 3 already this season, but if he was getting as many penalties as Bayern Munich, maybe then you would see him kind of vying for the top scorer title a bit more, but he is capable of scoring from anywhere. So anytime goal scorer for Omar Marmoush is 263, but one of my favourites here for most Bundesliga games, maybe not this weekend, but most weekends, is both teams to score yes. So that's the one I'm going for. Both teams score yes, 170.
Actually, this weekend is the opposite. You are going for a lot of both teams to score. No, well, before wishing you a happy game, Ronan, in the Dortmund Bayern, let me remind you, of course, to participate in our tipster competitions. And also, right now, we've just unveiled the rivals, so you can create your own tipster competitions with your friends and challenge yourself for good cash prizes. Well, Ronan, tell me your safe bet.
My safe bet is over 2.5 goals in Dortmund Bayern, 137.
Oh, that's a big statement, eh? You wish to see goals. And the ACCA?
My ACCA is 2 Asian handicap zeros, Augsburg and Borussia Mönchengladbach, for a total of 370. But I had a look, and if you want to go for Augsburg Asian handicap -1, like I said earlier, that gives a total of 640.
All right, then you have a couple of options also for your Bundesliga ACCA. Thank you, Ronan. See you next week. Bye-bye.